Thanks very much for speaking to me, Braden.
Oh, I'm excited to be here. This is one of my first ever interviews, so be gentle with me.
No, I'll do my best then. Yeah, I'll bring you in gently. Okay, so thanks very much. First of all, congratulations on the movie. Yeah, I watched it yesterday and I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
It reminded me of a few things I've seen before, but it was different because it focused a lot on family issues that other similar films really don't kind of focus on. Can you tell me a little bit about the genesis, about where that came from? Because it really felt like it came from something, I don't want to get into your personal life, but it felt like it came from somewhere personal.
Oh, sure. So funny story, when I was about 5 years old, my first ever crush was my stepmother. And when I was getting to know her, getting to meet her, my dad and I would go over to her house and she would cook dinner. And I would always walk up to her, pull her on the arm and whisper in her ear, hey, you should chase me around the house and try to catch me. And it was super adorable. She would chase me around and she would tickle me. And I always thought it's a cute thing that we still look back on and we love because she's one of my best friends now. But if the roles are reversed and it's a guy and a little 5-year-old girl, it all of a sudden gets a little bit more in a gray area and whether or not it's appropriate. So that's kind of what was the impetus for everything as far as the family drama involved in the film.
This is my boyfriend, John.
It's a pleasure to finally meet you.
I mean, you said it yourself. It gets much more taboo now if it's a male figure, a dominant figure, if you want to put it that way. So I mean, tackling something like that must have been pretty daunting from a writer's perspective, because you've got to be careful of how you deal with this kind of topic, no?
Yeah, I mean, I notice in the industry's finally coming around to female-driven films, and I as a son of a mother and a stepmother, and having 3 sisters, I wanted to support that as a writer if I can, but I was also super intimidated by that process. So we spent a lot of time talking to all the women in my life, as well as reading as much as I could and watching as many female-driven films as possible. One of the most enlightening books I've ever read was this book called Untangled by Dr. Damore, which is all about female development during their teenage years and their psychology and what they go through. And it just absolutely opened my mind to the world of a teenage girl and how much she analyzes every decision in her life and how important everything is and the stakes of everything and the stress of it all. And that's what ended up influencing the character Libby so much.
I'm happy for you guys.
I find psychology fascinating. I always think people have something that's broken in them, something that they're always chasing. And for me, Michelle's character is very important. Mena Suvari does an incredible job of this, but her character and her insecurities propel the film. Without her, her certain needs for validation, needs for love, needs for affection, needs for reassurance, the film can't move forward in a lot of ways. And one of the interesting things when I was doing a lot of research was I found, especially with young women, and men go through this too, is that there's this constant push and pull as a teenager. You push your parents away and then you want to be kind of cuddled by them. And then you push them away and then you want to be cuddled by them. And for someone like Michelle, who's always seeking that validation and that love, that can be difficult for her to experience through her daughter. And so as much as Michelle becomes this overly emotional, like super sweet, high octane person, Libby's kind of become the opposite of that because she wants to step out of her mother's shadow, in my mind.
I also felt that the mother feels attracted to this John Smith character because she's been spurned by a father. No, she's not had this relationship. She's not had a male figure in her family. So it felt easy for us to understand why she would feel this attraction to this character that turns up all of a sudden.
My idea of John Smith was always that he was a bit of a Venus flytrap. So he's meant to be super attractive. And, there's, I don't want to give spoilers away. I was about to right there, but it's catered to certain people. And so as a result, he has, you know, an ability to attract. And I think he comes across as, in Michelle's eyes, as, oh my God, I won the lottery. You know, this guy is amazing. And that's what forces her to feel like, I don't deserve this, you know, because of her own insecurities. And that's why she latches on so hard.
Yeah.
Once they started to create the ethos for John Smith's character and where he's from and stuff like that, you know, that's what inevitably led to me creating this narrative of trying to solve a problem in nature with the salt and the fresh water. And genuinely, one of the only species I could find that is able to live in both environments is the lamprey. And I'll tell you, I don't know if you've ever tried to shoot with the lamprey, Howard, but it is crazy. These things are invasive species, right? They are considered a cancer in every ecosystem they inhabit. So as a result, if you catch them, you are supposed to exterminate them. That's the rule. So it was really problematic to try to shoot these lampreys. And in fact, in the film, you see all these lampreys. There's actually only one lamprey shot many, many times to make it look like that multitude.
Right.
Because of our restrictions with the species.
Uh-huh. Well, I mean, without getting too specific, what were the actual restrictions? Did they say that if you catch them, you've got to kill them straight away?
Yeah, so they weren't allowed to cross state lines because they don't want to spread their, you know,
infestation like rats, no, yeah.
Right, into other environments. So as a result, if they're caught, they can't be really held. They have to be immediately exterminated. And I was just fortunate that I had a friend of mine who was a biologist in Vermont, and they allowed us to come up and shoot for a day real quick before they had to exterminate the poor thing.
Yeah.
I love him so much. He's not normal.
If we're gonna be a family, we have to learn how to forgive and forget.
I still remember the first time I saw Emma's tape, and I was watching. I'm going, man, there's something so intriguing about her, but I just couldn't figure it out. So I sent it to a friend, and the friend writes back. He goes, she has a real Jack Nicholson quality to her. I was like, what? And he goes, yeah, she's either, you know, absolutely crazy or a genius.
Yeah.
And it took within a day on set for me to realize she was a genius. I mean, she is so incredibly talented. She's super cerebral and in her head, but once you say action, it just explodes in the most subtle ways. It's like watching a fireworks display with just within her eyes, you know, and that's such a talent to have.
Especially at that age, yeah.
And I also would feel remiss if I didn't rave about Trey and Mena. You know, Mena was incredible because she was such a pro, and she was so determined that it didn't matter if it was the first take or the 20th take, she just brought it every time. And that's such a rare talent. And it's something I relied on heavily because she's a far more experienced filmmaker than I did. So I knew I had her as kind of my rock on set, and I so appreciate that collaboration. And then Trey, you know, I mean, you've seen him. He's so good. And I still remember the first audition with him because he had a way to expand the material in a sense. He would take lines that were typically, you know, I didn't think anything of, and he would make them sinister. And he would take little actions that I thought were rudimentary, and he would make them odd and awkward and cool.
You're kind of a weird dude.
I guess I am. But I mean, weird is cool, right?
So thank you so much for your time. I wish you the best of luck with the film. I'm sure it'll go down really well. And I hope to speak to you again with another film or whatever in the future.
You're so kind. Thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to hearing what you think of What Lies Below.